Sean mentioned that period of just steady growth that we were in for a decade, really before the pandemic. So getting back to steady growth a year in a row, there's nothing super significant about that because that was our industry for years and years. I mean, really, like we only started the index a few years ago, 4 years about now. It's been running, so we haven't like been able to quite track that. But we had growth in sales every month of the index until the pandemic, right? So 12 months, that's not the sort of thing that kind of like in the grand scheme we're super excited about. What I would really point out too is one, 12 months, like that initial crash is getting, further in the rearview mirror. We're evolving. I think it's kind of like shocking. Actually, even at AVIXA here, we like had a small kind of like section gathering. It was like a lot of people seeing each other for the first time and in person for the first time, 14, 15 months. Quite shocking, right? It's like it really gives a lot of perspective on how long we've been in this, how long we've been at this, what's been going on, the challenges. But I would say in terms of like what's significant, economically, what's significant for our industry, I would really point to less the kind of duration of time that we've been above 50 and more to the magnitude that we're above 50 right now. That 63.7, 13.7 points above 50. That's one of, it's not the highest, not the top 5 highest months we've ever had, but it's top 10 highest. It's definitely above where we saw ourselves typically prior to the pandemic. So that's what I'd really kind of point to in terms of like what's significant in this month. 12 months, it feels nice. It feels nice that we kind of like adding that little bit of strength back for 12 months in a row. That's great. But I'd really point to like how much our industry is added in May. That is what stands out to me. And that is what's most significant about this report, in my view.
Yeah, to say that another way, I mean, if you think about a score of 60, the way diffusion index works, you're essentially splitting those that are flat and looking at those that have declined versus those that have gained. Translation, what that means is at a 60, gainers lead decliners by a wide margin, right? So now you're saying on average, more firms are actually increasing, their business is improving month over month, right? So that's an important story because at a 50, it's kind of split down the middle. You've still got the dire consequence of companies that are in decline. Maybe they would love to be flat. They're probably much more in that decline category than flat. And so now we're really starting to see that story. Now, does this mean that companies are gangbusters? No. I mean, we've talked about all since the very beginning. It takes a long period. So where you're getting at this 12-month idea, the importance there is the longer that continues, the more likely it is that we've actually returned to a true period of growth. So, that story for us is still looking like a 22, 23, 24 story, depending on your sector, depending on your geography. We're working through and actually will be soon releasing formally the forecast. Peter and I have a pretty good idea what that looks like though at this point. And we do know that, by and large, our original predictions around return to true growth happens in 22. It's not a universal story. There are parts of the globe, Europe, Latin America, certain segments, live events, venues, those sorts of things, that it's a much longer horizon. So while we see positivity in index, and we're seeing longer and longer periods of that, and we have gainers leading decliners, we know that the hard reality is revenues are still struggling to recover back to where they were, just like employment is in the broad economy. So it's a note, right? It's just a reality check that we want this to persist because we want businesses to actually truly meaningfully, and for our industry to truly meaningfully expand from where it was. And that's what we're looking forward to at this point.